Yeah. Oh, good evening, everybody, and welcome back. Yes, indeed. Welcome back to another week, the beginning of another week of the final word here on the It's a Rap Sports Network, which boy, MattyB on the call, coming at you again to serve as your final destination of your sports night. That's right. It's Sunday night. We're back, and it's great to be back for the start of a new week. Another week that'll bring a lot of fun, hopefully, before it's done. And maybe we'll learn something about each other, too, before it's done. So it's great to be back here on the It's Rap Sports Network, servicing the greater Delaware Valley and all points north, south, east, and west. So tonight, what are we going to do tonight? So we're going to get into some things tonight. We're going to continue on with the conversation of the Phillies we started earlier today, as I had the privilege of coming at you with the Fightins final. After the 8-7 wacky win against the Dodgers, we'll continue on the conversation. We'll also get into some other Phillies conversation, pertinent conversation about the team 9 games through the season, kind of see where we feel that the team might be. And then, I guess ask the first important question of the night. Is it fair to gauge or judge the Phillies 9 games into a season? 7-2, by the way, they are. So we're going to get into some of that. I think we're also going to continue the conversation about the Flyers. More information has come out about the incident that occurred in Toronto on the Tuesday night prior to the firing of John Tortorella, about the incident regarding John Tortorella and Cam York. It's interesting stuff. I like to get into that. We'll probably talk some Flyers, too, as they're coming down the stretch. Lost last night against the Montreal Canadiens in a very Flyer-esque loss to a Montreal team that has come out of absolutely nowhere this year and finds themselves smack dab in the middle of a playoff race and potentially going to go to the playoffs. The Canadiens will. So we'll talk a little bit about Flyers. I think it's time to bring it back. We'll also do our other planned segments of the night. We'll do our day in Philadelphia sports history, the of the night segment, and our card review, and that and much, much more, because that's what we do. We do all those great things for you every single night. Before we get started, I want to remind everybody out there that all these shows here on this network are brought to you by the fine folks who dwell within the network and provide you some great Philadelphia sports content like the wraparound, now with Pat Bernard on Sunday mornings at 9 a.m. Pat debuted the wraparound this morning. If you have not seen it, please go check it out. It was quite fun. And then Pat's also part of the Attacking Third project that happens every Thursday night at 9, talking Philadelphia Union soccer along with Steve Fuentes, as they do every single week. If you are into the MLS and soccer and the Union and anything like that, then you need to be here, because I don't know anybody else that's covering it personally. And then on May 4th, the P&M and the AM program will return on Sunday mornings at 9. We will find something to do with the wraparound at that point, but the P&M and the AM show will take its place Sunday mornings at 9 a.m. And, of course, my show, the Final Word, MattyB, every Sunday through Thursday at 10. As I mentioned, your final destination in your Philadelphia sports day. So all those great things. And then the Fightins final, of course. We're ready to go for the series in Atlanta on Tuesday. It'll be Steve Fuentes. Wednesday, Mike Lauro. And then Thursday, Sal G will take you through the Atlanta Braves series. Another key matchup for the Phillies early season-wise. So all that great stuff here on the network that we do. So Ricky says, go Flyers. Huh? Ricky, what is this? Go Flyers. Okay. I mean, we can talk some Flyers. Kind of took me by surprise there. You rocking a It's a Rap Sports Network logo. That's what I'm talking about, man. Whoever you are, that's what I'm talking about. Thank you. We are going to talk some Flyers, but let's get into what we usually do, and that's start you off with your day in Philadelphia sports history. That's right. Your day in Philadelphia sports history. So make sure you strap it in, strap it on, strap it up. Let's begin. Keep your hands and feet and neck and all those things inside the car at all times, and let's roll. On this day back in 2006, Jimmy Rollins, after going 0 for 4 in a game against the St. Louis Cardinals, a loss, by the way, by the Phillies, ended a 38-game hit streak that he started in 2005. So he was rocking a hit streak going into the 06 season. It ended on this day, stopping his quest to catch Joe DiMaggio in the elusive 56-game hit streak that still stands, by the way. That thing still stands as the longest hit streak in Major League Baseball history. But on this day, Jimmy Rollins' bid to knock off DiMaggio ended as the Phillies lost 4-2 and he went 0-4. Hit streak ended at 38. But that hit streak that he did in between 05 and 06 currently stands as the 8th longest ever in MLB history. That's right. Jimmy Rollins holds the 8th longest hitting streak in MLB history. The top 8 or the top 10 are, of course, DiMaggio at 54 or 56, and then Willie Keeler, who I guess set the record initially with 45 back in 1896 and into 1897. Pete Rose comes in at 3 with a 44-game hit streak in 1978. Bill Dalen in the 1894 had a 42-game hit streak. George Sisler for the St. Louis Browns in 22 had a 41. Ty Cobb, a 40-game for the Tigers in 11. Paul Molitor, a 39-game hit streak in 87. Jimmy Rollins comes in at 8th with his 38 in 05-06. Tommy Holmes from the Boston Braves in 45 with a 37. And Gene DeMontreville for the Washington Senators with 36 in 1896 through 1897. So there you go. There's your top 10 all-time hit streaks in Major League Baseball, and Jimmy Rollins currently sits at 8th. And it ended on this night. So goodbye to the hit streak. And I remember that. I actually remember when he was chasing that. And I really thought it kind of sucks to carry it over because you have a whole offseason. Obviously, as a hitter, you want to stay fresh and hot. But, you know, he started it a little bit he started going again in 06, but it's a lot to ask, man. It's definitely a lot to ask to carry over hit streaks from one season to the next. And it's certainly a lot to ask to hit 57, get a hit in 57 straight games. And I don't know if that record will ever be broken. I think it's one of those records that it will stand forever. Honestly do. I'm not sure if it'll ever get broken. But on this night in 2006, Jimmy Rollins' bid to dethrone Joe DiMaggio ended as his hit streak ended at 38 back in 06. And there's also another nugget of news. We're going to do a double one for you because I was reading them and I had trouble kind of determining which one I wanted to go with. So we're going to go with both. But back on this day in 1993, whether you believe it was the owner's fault, whether you believe it was his fault, whether you believe it might have been the fans' fault, Reggie White on this day in 93 signed a contract with the Green Bay Packers. One of the largest, if not the largest at that time. I believe it was the first in NFL free agency back in 93. It was the first year of the new NFL's project to kind of jump into the old free agent thing. And Reggie White, unable to negotiate a contract with then Eagle owner Norman Brayman, drove away the greatest pass rusher in NFL history into the hands of the Green Bay Packers. He would go on to win a Super Bowl a few years later with the Packers. And the Eagles, by the way, or on the other hand, would sink into despair yet again until Jeff Lurie bought the team a few years later too. But on this day, hearts were breaking around the Delaware Valley as Reggie White signed a contract with the Green Bay Packers, walking away. And I remember that too. I remember it well. And thankfully, I shouldn't say thankfully, but it kind of took some of the sting out of it was 93. So the Phillies, who just had started the 93 season, were red hot and kind of took our attention away from the Eagles all the way through October. So that's the only positive thing about that whole situation for me, was that I wasn't really paying attention to the Eagles until about Halloween. So, and by then it was too late. It was too late for everybody. But on this day in 93, Reggie White gone for greener pastures, or greener Bayer pastures, I guess, so to speak, as he left to go to the Green Bay Packers. And Norman Brayman would not, under any circumstances, capitulate to Reggie White's needs. So interesting. And there you go. There's your two facts on your night in Philadelphia sports history. Ricky says, I'm a Flyers fan. Ricky, so am I, man. And you've landed on the right spot, because tonight we're going to dig into some more Flyers stuff, especially John Tortorella and the after effects of what happened on that Tuesday night in Toronto in reference to the fight with Cam York. Because I think it's interesting as more stuff has come out. And I think it sheds some light on the situation and how bad it might have been between Flyers head coach, Flyers players, and Flyers management. So we're going to get into that here in a moment. And we'll start doing some of that stuff. That guy in Florida. Yeah, that guy in Florida. All right, Mike. I agree. but he never said his name. Would you? Would you say his name? I mean, the guy was an absentee owner, cared more about his goddamn cars, and obviously let Reggie White walk away. What could have been, Michael Kaepernick? What could have been if Reggie stayed through the mid 90s into the late 90s, even knowing what we know now, of course, with the Eagles and the Rich, and that was the Rich Kotite years, right? 93 and all that. Well, how would Ray Rhodes have used Reggie White? And then how would Andy Reid? Well, I don't know. I don't think he would have been around. Well, he might have been around in the beginning part of Andy Reid, right? Reggie White was around that long, or Ray Rhodes definitely would have had him. Would we have won a Super Bowl if Reggie would have stayed, knowing what we know about what happened to the team through the mid 90s? Would we have won? Or in retrospect, was it better that Reggie went to Green Bay? Because he would have won a Super Bowl there, which he, of course, did. So that's an interesting question. I never really thought of it like that. Reggie said God led him to Green Bay. Yeah, come on. Come on, man. Come on, man. We will. What do you want to talk about, Ricky? You throw a topic out. You want to talk Flyers? You toss something out. Not, I'll start it off. All right, let's go. Ricky wants to talk Flyers. We'll talk Flyers. God damn it. We'll talk Flyers. Reggie Clyde, and if Jerome never was killed, we would have had a Super Bowl. You think so? What about offense, though? What about the offense? I'm a little concerned about the offense because it never quite got to an offense. The offense never quite rounded the form until Andy Reid showed up, right? Well, I mean, we had Randall, then you went Rodney, then you went Ty Detmer, and then it was Bobby Hoy. I mean, we really struggled there for a whole period of time when it came to the quarterback situation. I mean, Donovan was really the first franchise quarterback we had since Randall, and there was about a 10-year, about a 15-year gap there. So I don't know, man. I don't think it's that easy, man. I don't think it's that easy to say that we would have won a Super Bowl if the defense would have stayed intact. And you mentioned and Jerome Brown not passing away. I don't know. We would have had one of the best defenses ever in the history of the NFL, but would the offense have been able to do enough to win? So interesting questions. But Ricky wants to talk Flyers, Mike. So we're going to talk Flyers. So we're about a week removed now, week and a half removed from the firing of John Tortorella. Bradshaw was 3-0 heading into the game the other night against the Montreal Canadiens. Lost last night, 3-2 or something like that? Don't really care anymore. Losing his first game as head coach of the Flyers. But now things have come out a little bit about John Tortorella and the final days. And more specifically, his interaction with Cam York on that infamous night in Toronto that cost them apparently his job. Now, the incident was allegedly a shouting match inside the Flyer dressing room, with may or may not have included pushing and physical contact. But an exchange of words that said, and I'm not quoting, I'm paraphrasing, but Tortorella at some point during this, I guess Cam York said something to Tortorella to the effect of, "I'm going to be here longer than you. So I'm not listening to you anymore. You're not going to last me out." Tortorella then responded something to the effect of, "If you re-sign here," because Cam York is a restricted free agent, "if you re-sign here, I am going to bury you." Now, I was always under the impression that the comments that he made, and this obviously occurred before the comments post-game that Tortorella said about not signing up for this, not wanting to be part of this. And I think maybe it had more to do with the situation that just occurred in the locker room or it was probably everything, but maybe the situation that occurred in the locker room between him and Cam York might have been the tipping point of John Tortorella. But to say those statements, that actually have the cojones to say to another player, "If you resign here, I am going to bury you." I mean, that tells me that there was definitely a gap in terms of Tortorella thought he was a lot bigger in this than he really was. And then obviously you can't have that. Regardless of whether or not Cam York is going to be back or not, you can't essentially have a coach threatening a player. How can you maintain discipline, order, respect when you're a bully, so to speak? And I think that's that, kind of sheds some more light on the situation, and it brings a little bit more in the context. Danny Barrere's statements, post John Tortorella firing press conference about it was a series of events that led to this situation. And I believe that. And the more and more I think about it, and I still maintain that Tortorella was the right coach to have here at that time. The more and more now that I'm hearing, and the more and more I think about it, obviously moving on from Tortorella was probably the best thing. And then obviously firing him with 9 games left was prompted on by that incident and other incidents, and then the statement he made later that night. So Tortorella really blew everything up on the way out the door. And I guess that's how you got to do it sometimes. You got to leave no stone unturned. And that's what Tortorella did. And the Flyers, since his departure, have been playing a lot better. A lot better, right? They've been playing a looser brand of hockey, a more freer brand of hockey. They're still having some of the problems. There's still talent issues. There's still a goaltending issue, but it's been exciting hockey coming down the stretch run here in 2025. The Flyers, let's bring up some numbers real quick. And this is what Ricky wanted to talk about, so I want to get into this, but we're going to move over to the Flyers here, or to the Phillies here momentarily. But going down the stretch here, the Flyers, under Bradshaw, in the 4 games that Bradshaw has been, have scored 17 goals. They're averaging 4.25 goals a game. They've not come nowhere. They were averaging less than 3 on the Tortorella. They're giving up 3 goals a game, which is pretty much the same. Their power play is 4 for 12. They are 33% on the power play, and they've killed 6 out of 7 penalties. It's a looser brand of hockey. It's a freer brand of hockey. They're still turning the puck over, or they're giving the puck away at an epic clip, close to 20 times a game. I don't know if that's something that they're going to work out in the offseason, but it's been a fun brand of hockey to watch towards down the stretch. And I applaud the Flyers for not turtling up, and I applaud the Flyers for fighting to the very end. Now, they will finish up the season, I think, over the next 10 days, and we will, of course, ramp up for our push into the draft and into free agency and into trades and all those great things that hopefully will net us some actual talent going forward. And heading into next season, one last thing about the Flyers, and we got to move on. Heading into next season, the Flyers will be looking to not miss the playoffs for 6 years straight. They have never done that as a franchise. They've missed the playoffs 5 years straight. This will be the 4th time in franchise history that the Flyers have gone 5 years without making the playoffs. They've never gone 6 years without making the playoffs. And next year is year 6, if you're doing the math at home. So I maintain this. I said this a few weeks ago, and I'm going to continue on it. I'm not expecting a Stanley Cup next season, but I am expecting the playoffs. We have to make the playoffs next year. If not for the sanity of the fan base, we got to say we got back to the playoffs. We got to be part of that conversation again. And then from there, you can build towards the Stanley Cup. But we have to start taking steps forward in 25, 26. And I don't think there's anybody out there that's going to debate it. There's no more stripping it down. It's stripped down. There's no more you can strip down on this team. You've got to start adding pieces. And I think that's going to start this summer, hopefully quickly, and we can get things rolling in the right direction. But, what time are you going to go live tomorrow night at 10 o'clock like every night I do? I am doing well, Joe. How are you? My buddy Joe Hale's on. Oh, you guys know each other? It's good stuff. I hope Ian and Bradshaw are coaches for the Flyers. Joe, I don't know if Bradshaw, don't forget, it's not Bradshaw. It's Brad's first name and Shaw's his last name. I don't know if he's going to stick around. He's a Tortorella guy, don't forget. And he's already kind of been lukewarm about wanting to take that opportunity when asked straight up, are you auditioning for the head coaching job? And he's basically like, I don't know. I've been out of head coaching for a long time. I don't know. And I'm a Tortorella guy. So I don't know if he'll stay. Ian Lapierre is definitely a name that I've already brought up as a potential replacement for the Flyers. I'm not a Rick Tocchet guy. I don't really know. I know he won Coach of the Year last year. I get it. But Rick Tocchett's had a losing record as an NHL head coach overall. He's struggling out there in Vancouver with that team, but I'm not really all on the Rick Tocchet thing. The Flyers have potentially three first-round picks this summer. The Edmonton pick that they own could be deferred by Edmonton into next year. So Edmonton could take their pick this year, and then the Flyers would get Edmonton's unconditional pick next year. So they have 3 if Edmonton does not defer. They have 2 if Edmonton defers, and they'll have a second one next year if that happens. So 7 picks total through the first 2 rounds, and I believe 12 overall in this year's draft. A lot of draft capital that can be used to acquire proven NHL talent and hopefully speed up this rebuild. So we'll definitely get more into the NHL draft. And of course, we cover the draft here. We talk about NHL draft prospects just about every night. But as we move deeper into the summer and get closer to the 2025 NHL draft, we'll amp up our coverage. And we will provide some sort of first-round coverage here on the network, whether that be a live 3-hour first-round pick-by-pick type show, or we do it a different way. We are kind of discussing that right now, how we want to handle the NHL and MLB drafts, as we will both cover both those drafts this summer in some way or form, just like we're going to cover the NFL draft coming up here in a few weeks, and I'll give out more information about that later on. But we will definitely have you covered for all the fine draft talk that is coming down the pike very soon. So, all right. That was, I hope that worked for you, Ricky. Hope that worked, right? Did a little bit of Flyers talk. That's about all I really want to get into, because it's all you can talk about. I mean, we can get into the Jetlachenko, Alex Chernik down there in Lehigh. We can talk about Lehigh Valley Phantom hockey. We could do that, but I don't really want to get into that tonight. But we will. I'm keeping an eye on the Phantoms, so we'll definitely talk some Phantoms hockey. Let's convert now. I'm sorry, we're going to convert, not transition, convert. We're going to convert back to the Phillies. And if you were listening earlier, I had you on the Fighting's Final, and we talked about the 8-7 win over the Dodgers, a impressive overall series win by the Phillies. And the big news that came out during that game is this, man. Andrew friggin' Painter is scheduled to start Friday, April 11th for the Clearwater Thrashers. Clearwater will face Daytona, which is the Reds' low A affiliate, and Painter has not pitched in 2 years. So Andrew Painter is going to make his first start in over 2 years come April 11th, next Friday, for the Clearwater Thrashers. And it will definitely be watched, broke down, listened to. Every pitch will be watched as Andrew Painter's road to the MLB begins officially on Friday. And, of course, everybody here in the Delaware Valley is keeping close eyes, especially in games like today, when the Phillies starting pitching, Chris Sanchez, in a weird day, rainy, dreary, all those things. Chris Sanchez pitched, I said it during the final, effective. It's hard for me to give him praise, because he only lasted 5.5. He gave up 6 hits. He gave up 4 runs. They were all earned, but he did strike out 9, which is funny to me. He was mowing them down, but he was giving up hits at the same time. And this is kind of what Phillies pitchers are. But he pitched 88. He labored 88 pitches through 5.5. Now, the bullpen came on and had their own adventures. Ruiz, Kerkering, Strom, Alvarado. Alvarado gets the save. I got to give Strom credit, though. He did have a nice 8th inning. He got the hold. Kerkering also pitched pretty well in the 7th. And, of course, that leads me to Jordan Romano, who pitched in the 7th as well and did not have a good outing. You know, he didn't even get he did not record an out. So he doesn't get an innings pitch designation. It still says 0-0 because he never recorded an out. Gave up 2 hits, 3 runs. They were all earned. And he walked 1, and he walked out of that 0-out performance with an ERA north of 15.75. And it has not been a good start for Jordan Romano here in Philadelphia by no stretch of the word. And there's been a lot of talk from people on these programs that it's time to cut bait on Jordan Romano. I know it's early about Phillies for the Phillies, but Luzardo looks like. Listen, Joe, table that for a second, because I have something I want to talk to you about, Luzardo. I do have something to say about that, but I'm not saying cut bait with Jordan Romano here in 9 games in. I'm not, but there definitely needs to be a plan in place to facilitate a replacement in the bullpen. Now, today also on the Fighting's Final, we talked about some down on the Phillies farm, and our AAA pitcher of the week was Mick Abel. Once again, dealing down there in Lehigh. 2 starts, 11 strikeouts through those 2 starts, gave up 4 earned runs through 2 starts, 13 hits through 2 starts, won 1 of those 2 starts. I said it way back in February, way back in January, when we might have even started breaking the Phillies down this year. It's time, whether or not he's ready or he's not ready, in my opinion. It's time to see what Mick Abel can do in major league level. 6 years in the minor leagues. I don't know how much more you're expecting him to prove 6 years into the minor leagues. He's a former first-round pick. And for the Phillies' peace of mind, and for the fans' peace of mind, and for the organization's peace of mind, I think it's time to let Mick Abel pitch and sink or swim. So potentially that could be a plan. Seth Johnson could definitely be a plan. There's Moises Chase, maybe he's maybe a little lower. I don't think he's ready quite yet, but there's some pitchers in mind. But the only concern I have with the Jordan Romano situation as it stands is what would be the option if we do have to move on from him. That's the only concern I have is not necessarily moving on from him or not moving on from him. If we get to that point, we get to that point. But what would be the option if we have to? That's my concern, because I don't know who that would be. Now, Ranger Suarez is a name that also jumps out at you. If Taijuan Walker continues to pitch serviceable, can you just move Ranger into the bullpen and have him take over where Romano was? That's a possibility, yes. But with Rangers Gimpy back and no timeline on his return, we might need to institute or execute a plan earlier than that. But that's the question that I have. Not necessarily whether or not it's time to move on from him, but what would be the plan if you have to? So not a very good start to his Phillies career, but yet a 9 games in. So we got to keep an eye on that. You can share me from my Facebook page onto yours. Go to It's a Wrap Sports on Facebook, which I think you can find it, and then share the link, because we're going live on our Facebook page. And that's how I would go live on your Facebook page if you shared the link of this show. So go ahead and do that, Ricky. I would appreciate that, man. But anyway, Jordan Romano, not off to a good start. Phillies do hang on the win today, 8-7. Nick Castellanos with the grand slam, and Edmundo Sosa continues to be red hot, even though Rob Thompson refuses to play him every day. The other thing in that, Joe just brought it up, and I want to get back to it. Where's he at? I know it's early, but for the Phillies, but Luzardo looks like an ace. Luzardo looks very good. And there was an incident that occurred on the Fighting's final Friday night. Somebody was navigating through the chat and posing as the It's a Wrap Sports Network and asking questions of Al Zafiri, who hosted the show on Friday night. And I want to address it because I've taken some flack for a comment that I've made. And I want to clarify the comment. I don't know if you guys remember this, but it was in reference to Al said that Luzardo was probably one of the best signings that the Eagles have had, or Phillies have had, in a long time. And I fired back and said, well, Luzardo was not a signing. It was a trade. And the Phillies gave up a shortstop prospect. And that turned into me not wanting the Phillies, me not wanting the Phillies to be better by trading some prospects away for some veterans. I don't know where that came from and how that was like deduced or how that was interpreted. But all I mentioned was that the Phillies gave up a top prospect, a pick, a potential prospect in, I think it was Sterling Caba, who was the pitcher or the player, for Luzardo. That's all I mentioned. I wasn't saying I was against it. I was just saying that's what happened. But it turned into this big tirade that I'm against giving up prospects to try to win now. And he mentioned pay to play, which again is available on aisle 4 of Big Al's Excuse Emporium, just new for 2025. Again, remind you, for all of your Philadelphia sports reality issues. If you're having issues dealing with the reality of your Philadelphia sports teams, don't worry. You no longer have to suffer in silence, because Big Al's Excuse Emporium is here for you. Established in 2024, serving the Delaware Valley since the summer of 2024, Big Al's Excuse Emporium will help you deal with reality through the use of excuses and colorful metaphors and analogies and all the things that you need to do to get through your night. And the new for 2025, we have a lot of new stuff in 2025, but one of the new things we have in aisle 4 is the pay to play table. That's right, pay to play. That is how you justify giving up top end prospect talent in order to make a ditch or a run for a World Series. Now, Dave Dombrowski, who is the president of the Phillies, has actually gone into sort of partnership with Big Al's Excuse Emporium this year and promises that the pay-to-play aisle will be nothing like you've never seen before. And that's what scares me, folks, because that's what scares me, is that Dombrowski, in an attempt to try to hang on to his job or hang on to the potential of winning a World Series, is going to go back to Dave Dombrowski ways and try to empty out the Phillies minor league system in hopes of running down a World Series. I am 100% okay with the Luzardo trade. I've been on board with it since day one. We have a lot of shortstop prospects, so I'm not really concerned about that. Our middle infield is taken care of for the foreseeable future. I'm not upset with the trade. I just mentioned it was a trade, not a signing, and it turned into this tirade about me not wanting to give up prospects. Now, I don't want to give up prospects. I will not be coy about that. I think prospects are important, because I don't want to go back into 2013 through 2018. I don't want to do that again. I want to try to make this transition as seamless as I possibly can and stay in somewhat contention through those years until these players begin to kind of round in the form or don't. So I am not empty out the cupboards, especially with the track record that Dave Dombrowski has during trade deadline trades. He's been terrible here with those. And I just don't want him mortgaging away real potential superstar prospects for Noah Syndergaard or Logan O'Hoppe for Brandon Marsh. I can't go through another trade like that. So it concerns me. And I think it's a legitimate concern. But in no way, shape, or form was I ragging on the Luzardo trade. I was just pointing out that no, Luzardo was not a free agent signing. He was a trade. So Al had this big blah, 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 blah moment that he wants to go posting things all over the place. And once again, showing me that I am some sort of, I don't know, what am I? A tyrant? A tyrant? But yeah, I don't know. Can the Phillies send Romano just like they did with Alvarado? Can the Phillies send Romano just like they did with Alvarado like last year? You mean send him down? I don't think so. I don't think Romano has options. It's been around for a minute. I'd have to look into that. I assume that's what you mean, Joe. Send him down. I don't know, but obviously they could. Yeah. What's up, Dave? How you been, man? But again, just to clarify, I was not against the Luzardo trade. Not at all. I think that we have a plethora of young infielders that we can definitely live without, and I was okay with it. But I am not okay with emptying out the farm system, trying to run down a World Series this year. I'm not. I'm totally not okay with that, because I think there's bigger holes in this team than a lot of people are kind of letting, trying to accept. And I certainly don't want Aiden Miller dangled out there for a pitcher, a rent-a pitcher that, and again, in Dombrowski's record in these damn trade deadline deals, just ain't good. And I'm not comfortable with that, but I'm totally okay with the Luzardo trade. So I just wanted to clarify that I was being chopped down for just making a statement that Luzardo wasn't a signing. It was a trade. So anyway, do the Phillies do the Scott Kinnery thing for Mark Appel? Mark Appel. What's the Scott Kinnery thing? Trade? What are you talking about, Joe? I'm trying to. I remember both those players. Sign them the deals right out of the minor leagues? What are we talking about? But anyway, so I just wanted to clarify that, because again, I'm tired of being people trying to take shots at me whenever they feel randy enough to do it. So I just want to get into that. But Phillies today, 8-7 winners, 7-2 now, as they will set their sights on the Atlanta Braves. And Zach Wheeler, I guess, is going to be going against Chris Sale right now, but there's potential that might change. So we'll have to stand by and wait for that. The other news, I think, coming out of so far the first three series, of the season, has been the play of Armando Sosa. And again, I went on a tirade about that today on the Fighting's Final. I don't want to hear anymore that he's not an everyday player. I 100% agree that he's not an everyday player. But right now, in my mind, he's an everyday player until he can't hit the baseball. And then when that happens, you put him back on the bench. I don't care what his station in life is and what he's brought here to do. He's batting 600. And everything he does, it works. Today, lost in everything, all the madness down there at Citizen Bank Park, he was instrumental in winning that game by beating out that fielder's choice, turning that double play into a fielder's choice, and essentially getting the winning run in. All right. How can you, in good conscience, and I'm speaking to Rob Thompson now, how can you in good conscience sit Armando Sosa but continue to play Bryson Stott after one of the most boneheaded little league mistakes any major leaguer can make on Saturday by getting doubled off first? You continue to play him, but you're going to sit Sosa because he's not an everyday player, but he's batting 600. I don't understand the hypocrisy of that. I never will understand the hypocrisy of that. And if that's what's really happening down there, once again, I call into question who is running the railroad for the Philadelphia Phillies. I realize Armando Sosa is not part of the damn core of this team. He's a bench piece. He's a utility guy. He comes in when they need him. 100% on board with that. But he's batting 600, and everything he does, it works. He was 2 for 4 today with the game-winning RBI. Well, actually, I don't think he got an RBI for the fielder's choice, but he kept the double play out, and he got a fielder's choice and drove in the game-winning run. How can you not give that guy more playing time until he proves otherwise? Then you put him back on the bench where he belongs. But I would take him right now over Bohm. I would take him in the lineup over Stott right now, folks. That's how I'm looking at this. Alec Bohm is not doing nearly what Armando Sosa can do. He can't do what Armando Sosa does defensively. And right now, offensively, he's not. And Stott, yeah, he's probably better defensively, but he's not better offensively right now. So why are we having this conversation? And why is Armando Sosa not playing every day until he can't? It shouldn't even be an argument, for God's sakes, man. You saw what he did today. So I was rallying on that. He needs to play every day until he proves he cannot do it. Sign them long-term and can bog him up in July. Why would they do that, though? I don't know. Romano's a reclamation project coming off injury play season last year. Listen, there's a lot of risk with Romano. We talked about it in the offseason, Joe. Romano signed a 1-year contract after having injuries riddle him last year. And this could not work. I mean, he might be done. He might be cooked. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, the easier thing with Romano is just to cut bait on his ass. I mean, honestly. Bring. Marshawn had a nice walk. Yes, he did. Marshawn's playing his ass off. And then one more thing. God damn, Joe, you're Mr. Segway tonight, man. You're setting me up all night long here. I do want to address the JT Realmuto situation, too. Because, again, I got called out about my disdain for him. I don't have disdain for JT Realmuto. He is not the best catcher in baseball. He's not. He's nowhere. He's not even top 10. Okay. If you combine, if you're talking like defense, offense, best catcher in baseball, he's not top 10. Talking defensively and calls a good game, yeah, he's top 5. Right? Offensively, he's not. He's not the best catcher in baseball. He had a great game the other night where he had 2 strikeout throwouts on stolen base attempts, but he also gave up 3 steals in that game. He's given up 8 steals heading into today's play. He has given up 11 stolen bases this year. All right. He had a great little run there on Saturday or Friday night to keep the Phillies in that game. I would give you that 100%. But to sit here and tell me you wouldn't want to redo the Logan O'Hoppe trade right now is you're showing your ignorance. Because JT Realmuto is on the other side of his career, the wrong side of his career, and Logan O'Hoppe is on the right side of his career. And what are we going to do next season when JT's gone and you got Marshawn and Garrett Stubbs as your catching duo, waiting for Eduardo Tait, who's about 3 years away? So don't tell me that JT is this godlike creature that is the best. No, he was good for a while he was here. He's expendable now. The man had to get the day off today in front of a game. So he gets the day off today. He's got a day off tomorrow. So he's got to get 2 days off in a row. Is that really what we're doing now? If he is that fragile that you want to protect him that much, what is he doing here, man? So don't give me the nonsense best catcher in baseball crap. That's out with dancing on your own, man. That's gone. All right, he is not the best catcher in baseball, not by any stretch of the imagination. And the Phillies are setting themselves up for a hard fall next year when he's not here. Because, yes, he calls a great game. Yes, he manages the crap out of that pitching staff. Offensively, he's a shadow or a shell of what he used to be. He's never going to be that good again. Defensively, in terms of how he calls the game and how he positions the outfield and positions the defense, one of the best in the league. But I can't have somebody doing that from the bench. I don't need somebody out in the field necessarily doing that. And I need his bat, and his bat's gone. And I don't think it's ever coming back. So don't give me this best catcher in baseball crapola. I would take Logan O'Hoppe over him in a heartbeat. I would redo that trade in a heartbeat. That is one of the worst trades we've ever had in recent history here in Philadelphia. It is a terrible trade that is going to come back and bite this team on the ass, if not this year, starting next year. It's ridiculous, man. Best catcher in baseball, my ass. Go Phillies. Good job there, Ricky. Appreciate that, man. We'll just blame good old Robbie for yeah, well, we'll just blame Rob. We'll blame. Listen, Mike, what happens when they fire him, man? Who are we going to blame? Huh? Blame Dusty? Blame Caleb? Who would they replace him with? I've asked this already. Who do the Phillies replace Rob Thompson with if they fire him? Internally. Who? Ugh. I shudder to think. Talking about Mark. Yeah. Mark. Talk about Nick Abel? Because Mark Apple is gone. He got cut last year. He got DFA'd last year. Are you speaking about Mick Abel? Who are we talking about here? After the game, Dombrowski should have handed Romano a pink slip, bus, and should have said out of here. Oh, man, Mike, you were going off on that whole thing at the final. Listen, 9 games is not enough. Month from now, yeah, we'll talk. But I don't know, man. All right, listen, let's go. Let's get into the of the night segment here on the show. Oh, you guys. Yes, sir. Indeed, the other night segment, we are going to look at we're going to spotlight a player, spotlight a draft pick, talk about draft, talk about some teams. We're doing one tonight. I told you that we were going way too fast. I had blown through most of the draft picks and most of the spotlight players and all that, and we got months to go until we get to the draft. So we're sticking in the we're going to focus on Phillies prospects tonight, and I guess the number one Phillies prospect in everybody's crosshairs, and we mentioned already he's going to get his first start in 2 years on Friday, and that would be Mr. Andrew Painter. That's right, folks. Andrew Painter. Cole Hamels, Steve Carlton, and Kurt Schilling all rolled up into one when it comes to expectations. The fact that Painter is still regarded as one of the best pitching prospects in the game while on the sidelines is a testament to his ability. His combination of stuff, size, and feel for pitching add to the faith in him. With a legitimate 4-pitch mix at his disposal, his fastball can touch triple digits and was averaging around 96 miles per hour at the end of 2022. And he throws both a sinking 2-seamer as well as a high-spin 4-seamer up in the zone. Listen, there's no doubt that he's got the stuff. And I don't know how he could not have been pitching 96 mile an hour or triple digit fastball by the end of 2022. His arm was already shot by then. No, but there's no doubt he's got the stuff. There's no doubt what he is. I remember the hype. That was in 23. He got it. Yeah. So I remember the hype around him heading into camp in 23. It was, and it was a real gut punch when he came out of that with with Tommy John. I remember that. And now, as I said, Friday, we're going to get an opportunity as he's going to start his road back, or his road to the Phillies. I'm very excited to watch Andrew Painter. But I've said it over and over and over again. Tommy John, it's not a death sentence anymore. It used to be. It's not. Just about every pitcher goes through it, and some of them go through it multiple times, and they can still find a way through it. So I agree with you. But I think expectations need to be tempered. And what I mean by that is if he does find his way to the Phillies at some point this year, which I think he will, I think it's very important that we understand where he is in his development and where he is in his arm development or his arm rehabilitation. I'm excited for it. I want to see it just like everybody else does, but I want to manage it smartly. His day will come, and he will be hopefully at one point the ace of this staff 2-3 years from now. But let's not drive him away before he gets here. And you guys know what I mean by that. Let's not be typical Phillies fans while dealing with Andrew Painter as he works his way back from Tommy John surgery. And for those of you looking, Friday, April 11th, I think it's in the afternoon. I got to check for you. I did not check the time, but I know they're playing Daytona. But the Clearwater Threshers are playing the Daytona Targogorizes. I don't know how to say their name. They are the low A affiliate of the Cincinnati Reds in the Florida State League down there. And Andrew Painter will be getting the start on Friday. If you have the MLB app, I know you can watch minor league baseball that way. If you're in the Tampa area, you could probably watch it that way. If you're in Daytona, you could probably watch it that way. But try to find it. Try to Google it, YouTube it, find it somewhere. I'm sure someone's going to be streaming it somehow. It's must-watch TV if you ask me, and I will be watching, and I will give you a full report on the Andrew Painter experience on Friday. This coming Friday. So I'm looking forward to it, man. I really think it's going to be fun. Replace Robbie with the homeless guy on the yes, Mick Gable. Yeah, listen, they can bring Mick Gable up now. There's no reason they got to wait till July or whenever. They can bring him up now. I would take Nick Leva over Robbie. Ugh. Oh my God, Mike. Nick Leva? It's a name from the past. All right, so there you go. There was our of the night segment, Andrew Painter. And now let's get into the best part of our night, the most fun part of our night. Here we go. Yes, sir. That's right. It's MattyB's card review. It's our part of the night where we talk about one of my vast thousands of sports cards. We have fun with it. We talk about nostalgic value, financial value, intrinsic value. Talk about the player, reminisce, so to speak, of the player of a forgotten age. Some players are current. Some players are not so current. Tonight's player is not so current, but boy, when he came in, he took the league by storm. He rushed to the top at the head of the line, was one of the more dominant pitchers going. And then just as quickly as he came, he fell apart. And it wasn't due to injury. It was just due to, I don't know. It's a mystery of what happened to this guy. But we're back in baseball. We're in 2009. We're going to do a Topps card from 2009. I'm sorry, Upper Deck. My bad. The Upper Deck Legendary Cuts from 2009. It was a parallel or an insert to the 2009 Upper Decks. You know, their special type of card thing. They highlighted some players from years past, and or actually of that era, and made a legendary cut card of the player. And tonight's player, San Francisco Giant phenom pitcher Tim Lincecum. As I said, came in like a thunderstorm, like a tornado, took the league by storm. Debuted back in 2000 and where was it? Debuted in 2007. May 6, 2007, Lincecum made his MLB debut against, drum roll please, that's right, the Philadelphia Phillies. His first MLB strikeout was against who? That's right again, Chase Utley. That's right, he struck out Chase Utley for his first ever Major League strikeout. He pitched for the Giants from 2007. And his career ended in 2016. He actually was a Giant from 2007 to 2015. Was instrumental, folks, in at least the first two Giant World Series championships of that time. He was relegated to the bullpen in 2014, so he really didn't play much in that one, but he got the ring, so he's got 3 rings. He finished his career in 2016 with the Angels, but as dominant as he was from 07 to 2012, there was nobody in the league that could touch this kid in those years. 4 All-Star appearances, 3-time World Series champion, won the Cy Young Award twice, back-to-back years, 08, 09. 3-time NL strikeout leader from 08 to 10, was the Golden Spikes Award winner in 2006, and pitched 2 no-hitters at the end of his career in 13 and 14 during the bad times of his career. But 2012, something happened to him in 12, and he just kind of fell off, and his career was downhill from that point on. Never really seriously injured. Had that herky-jerky, that wind up that his whole body was involved in. His nickname was the Freak. I mean, he was a freak in nature, man. And he was dominant, but just as quick as he came, quickly he went. And this is his 09 legendary cut card from Upper Deck. $3 to $5, depending on where you're looking for it. It's not that valuable. I would imagine that during his heyday, like when this card would have came out in 09, it was probably worth a lot more back then, before his career kind of went off the deep end there. But right now it's about a $3 to $5 card. And, I have one, and that's what I'm selling it for, $3 to $5. So Tim Lincecum, legendary cut card. Here it is in its physical form. I love the design of these cards. Again, there's a whole bunch of these, a whole bunch of players from the 09 legendary cut Upper Deck that are part of this series. There's probably like 25 different players. I do like the design. I like what Upper Deck did here. Now, the fact that it's an Upper Deck card does lend a little bit to its $3 to $5 value. If it was a Topps card, we're talking more, but not a bad card. A very aesthetically pleasing card, I must say. So there you have it. Tonight's card review was the 09 Tim Lincecum legendary cut card from Upper Deck. So Joe Hale says he was more than good, Joe. He was dominant. But just as quickly as he came, he just disappeared. It's crazy. Didn't he win? Yeah, he won them back-to-back, 08, 09. Back-to-back Cy Young Awards, 08, 09. Just was dominant. From 07 to 12 was a dominant pitcher. And then just fell apart. Really just fell apart. But as I said, he debuted in 2007 against the Phillies. His first major league strikeout was against Chase Utley. So got some Phillies connections there. But there you go. Tim Lincecum, our of the night, or our card review player, or MattyB's card review. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. Again, $3 to $5. Really nice card. I'm going to show it to you again. It's a really aesthetically pleasing card. And if you actually want to see the cards that I currently have for sale, and I'm going to give myself a shameless plug, check them out. Not all of them are listed. You guys, I've explained this story about 1,000 different times. I have 9 binders worth of cards that are, worth something. And I'm posting them individually on eBay to sell. I'm only about a 10th into the process. It's a very deliberate, very long process to go through thousands of cards to put them up online. And eBay only gives you X amount of cards or items, I should say, a month for free to post. So you got to kind of sit between those restrictions. But I'd say about a 10th of my cards are already up on eBay. The good ones are not posted, or the good ones are, but the real good ones, I'm still working my way through it. If things go the way they're going right now, I should be done posting all of them by Christmas. No joke. But it's a process. But if you want to check out my stuff that's currently on eBay, PhillyMattB7 is my username on eBay. And you can go check out my cards, and you might be interested in a few of them. Go ahead and put a bid in on them, or outrightly buy them, and we'll do some business. But be on the lookout for them, as I will be posting more and more every single day until I get through all 9 of these binders. Now, on average, there's probably about 10,000 cards per binder. So be patient. It's a process. But I'm about one and 1/4 binder through. And as I said, it's pretty tedious, but they're up there. PhillyMattB7 is my username on eBay. look at the cards that are already up there, and maybe we can do some business. But that's gonna bring me to the end here tonight. Good show. Kind of started the Phillies or continued the Phillies conversation. Also went down and talked some Flyers. More John Tortorella catharsis moments, about why he might have been fired. And did our other night, and then the card review and our day in Philadelphia sports history. So that's going to wrap me up, and it's going to send me out of the show. But don't forget, tomorrow night, no Phillies game, but I'll be back tomorrow night at 10 p.m. We will do another fine episode of The Final Word. But coming up this week on the network, remember, we will be back with the Fightins Final on Tuesday. The Phillies will be in Atlanta, and we got you covered Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. There is your Fightins Final lineup, the crew that's going to take you through the Braves series. All the great shows that we got coming up here on the network this week. The Attacking Third every Thursday is at 9. The Wraparound every Sunday morning at 9 a.m. Until May 4th, and then we're going to do something different with it. But make sure you're tuned in. Pat Bernard debuted this morning. If you missed it, go back and watch it. And, of course, the flagship show of the station, The Final Word with MattyB. So make sure you're tuned in, tuned out, and doing all those great things as we continue to build this product to the future. Thank you, Mike. Thank you for your contributions once again. Joe, thank you as well. And you guys will not be forgotten. When this show's garnering thousands of views and thousands of comments, you guys will always go to the front of the line because you've been here since the beginning. So hang in there. But I want to thank everybody for tuning in and participating. Until we talk again, have a great night and an even better tomorrow. See ya.